more services rendered. Episode 7 of The Strain.
AKA the best episode in the series so far. The episode starts with the husband of the lawyer lady getting home with the worst cabbie ever. Like, bloody hell. Like, this guy, okay? So, like, they pull up in the neighborhood, and he's just like, oh, credit card's not working, like, credit machine's not working, I need cash, and oh, if you want cash, I need to go in the house to get it, okay. And so the husband starts walking over to the house, and he sees a guy on his property, and he's like, hey,
what you doing?
It's a fucking vampire. And it, like, comes at them, and he's like, get in the car, drive the car.
So he gets in the car, he shuts the door, and he's like to the cabbie, drive!
And the cabbie's
like, what the hell is going on? He's like, drive! I don't care what you have to do, I will pay you whatever you want. Drive, drive, drive!
And what does the cabbie do? The cabbie does exactly what a New York cabbie would not do. Get out of the car.
And then gun and start shooting, trying to shoot people.
And then just
gets nommed. And so he runs into the house and he's like, honey, holy shit.
Call the cops.
What happened to the neighborhood while I was gone?
Call the cops.
And she's like, okay. Except she doesn't say that as she walks up to him and promptly inserts her stinger into his throat. That was
very good opening. It was very tense, except the cabbie really pissed me off.
You're like, dude, why is this hard? All you literally have to do is drive away.
Just you're in the car, you're sitting there, you have the key in the ignition, the car is probably on.
Gas! This is not hard.
As I said, I think in episode 2 vlog, this show only works because people are stupid.
Anyways, more things go down. We move over to, I guess F, finally in the basement.
F and Co.
Yeah, and F is like, we should be looking for a cure. And Nora's like, dude, the time for this was like a day ago when I had this crisis and you were all on board with chopping people's heads off.
As mentioned, Nora is now on board with Satrakan, and F, being F, is now what the plot needs him to be, which is, I don't agree with you.
And Satrakan finally turns around and he's like, this isn't about finding a cure. This is about you needing control over crap.
Everything I've said to you has been proven right. You have to start believing me.
Like, you can't just keep doing this. And it's true. He's like, as Satrakan, you're like, people are like, so, he's like, these are the rules. And people are like, but they're negotiable, right? I mean, it doesn't have to work like this. He's like, no, these are how the rules work. And they're like, but I don't like this one. Can we change this one? He's like, no! What is wrong with you people? This is not how this works. I would love to change the rules, but fuck you. Fuck you all. No. No more questions.
Like, oh my god, Satrakan. Like,
no more questions.
He knows he needs help. He knows he can't do this by himself. But so far, all of the people who can help him are not, like...
They're morons.
They're morons. They're not the person he's looking for. They're not the apprentice that he needs. I wonder who that is.
Not even wants, just needs.
And so they decide that what they're going to have... Satrakan explains to them that the way it works is if you kill the master, you're cutting off the head. It's a hive mind. Cut off the head, all the other little guys die with him. So we got to get the master. And how are we going to get the master? We gotta go through, find the German Nazi vampire. Well, how are we gonna find the German Nazi vampire? Well, don't we know a guy who was, like, taking bribes?
From the German Nazi vampire.
And F is just like, I don't want to talk to Jim. Who got you out of the CDC?
You moron.
Stupid.
So off they go to Jim, and they kind of have this conversation in front of his wife, and they finally explain the situation to her, and she's like, you did what? You did what? Alright, I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
I cannot deal with your shit. Fine. Fine. It wasn't even like, I'll get out of town to avoid this lake. It was like, I can't deal with you. Yeah. I'm just leaving. Don't call me.
So basically what they're going to do is they're going to use Jim as bait to get the German Nazi vampire out into the open, and then they're going to hopefully kill him.
Oh yeah, that'll work.
This is a brilliant plan, guys. Like, totally brilliant.
Top notch there with all that supplies you've got. That
And
one
like,
silver nail gun.
Yeah, they give, Satrakan gives Jim, like, a knife. He's just like, you're gonna need this. And Jim's just like, I was hoping for something more along the lines of the gun family. And Satrakan's just like, blades are better. And you're just like, oh, hell no.
You know, like, maybe your sword, but...
And so then we go to Grand Central Station because they've called...
Union Station.
Union Station in Toronto is not Grand Central Station.
Not even close.
Like, you can definitely dress up other areas of Toronto and make it look like it's New York City. Yes, it's possible. Union Station is not, like, it's tiny, guys. It's pretty, but it's tiny.
Yeah. We got that one hallway.
Yeah.
But, no.
No, not like...
No. Yeah, and then they got crap in that hallway. Like, flashing signs and... Oh, no. Nope.
So Satrakan shows up, and he's just basically...
He's like, oh, look! A poorly conceived bait trap!
I can smell the Jew in here.
Oh my god!
Did
That
no one
sounds so
say
awful out of context.
I know, it's just like...
Holy crap!
To explain, basically he refers to him as the Jew. And so he's like, I can smell him in this room. And Jim is just like, I am so screwed right now. And Satrakan's just like, follow this asshole.
And so he obviously follows the German Nazi vampire and obviously gets cornered by the German Nazi vampire, and he nearly does once again.
Okay, I'm first slightly out of context, but I love that they still use the TTC cars. Like,
I know,
they didn't
right?
change it to like the New York Transit system, and like, so when I was riding the TTC to work today, I'm just like, oh yeah.
What station was it?
There is actually a like extra station that they have built in on the subway system.
Really?
That
Just for
is
this
like
crap.
it's like it's training, and so they also use it for to film in. And it was actually on TV a couple weeks ago about when they were doing tours of the subway with the newscasters being like, oh, you know, they want to change all these things on the Toronto transit system.
I was like, why would you tour our subway system?
And
it's 2 lines.
And so for these interviews, they did it in this like extra section, and they're like, well, why do you have this? And like, oh, you know, this gets used for filming. No, The Strain filmed here. Resident Evil filmed here.
Okay.
So there you go. There's some, and that's why when you looked at the walls, there was no station name.
Yeah, I was kind of looking for that. I was like, this doesn't look like anyone I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, there's some interesting Toronto knowledge for you.
I was like, why would we film? Why would you tour our subway system? This is crap.
It's not like the New York subway
I
system
know.
where you have your abandoned stations. Toronto Transit is pretty like...
It's dull and straightforward.
Except for Museum Station. Museum Station is cool.
We have that. Yeah.
That's about it.
That's about it. Oh,
So,
and Old Mill. I like
Old Mill's
Mill.
pretty, yeah. But, yeah, back
Anyways.
on topic. So Satrakan and German Nazi Vampire are gonna have their face off.
Except it gets interrupted by...
Well, first Satrakan almost gets, like, totaled because German Nazi Vampire moves like he's in the Matrix.
Even better than the Matrix.
It's just like... basically.
Yeah, I kind of had Matrix flashbacks.
Well, the subway, too.
That's what, yeah. You know. But anyways, so their time is coming, and I don't think it's gonna end well for Abe, unfortunately.
And of course, during this, like, we're also getting flashbacks. So we're seeing their relationship now, and we're seeing the relationship in the past. And we're in the concentration camp, and German Nazi Vampire finds, like, a carving, and he's like, oh, who carved this? And eventually, after killing one of the guys, Abe steps forward, like, I did it. And he's like, oh, good, I have a job for you. And you're just like,
I did not see that one coming.
And so he's like, oh, I need you to carve this for me. And it turns out to be the master's coffin that we see in the first episode, the gigantic box. And you get these really well done scenes between the two of them. And the German Nazi Vampire just, like, taunting Abe in Like, he goes on a rant about love.
And how love just destroys people as well if it's all happy and good.
And he goes on he gets drunk. The drunk scene is, like, my favorite. Because he comes in completely drunk, and he's just like, so, what do you think about the Third Reich? I'm just like, whoa.
Oh, that was brutally honest there.
And so Abe is just like, I think it's in its death throes. And, like, we get on the topic of Hitler, and he's like, Hitler is a megalomaniac, crazy man. And then he's like, well, there's going to be another one. And, of course, he's, like, alluding to the master. And he's going to, lead everybody into the glory of the future. And blah, 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 blah. I know you Jews take this so personally. And you're just like, whoa. Like, whoa. Ugh.
Yeah, and you're just like, and then there was that moment where, the German Nazi vampire is like, yeah, like, honestly, you've been doing nothing this whole time. You've just been placating us because you're afraid to die.
It's so, he basically says, it's so easy to do nothing.
Yeah, and so he takes the guy's shovel, which he's kind of been using to, like, deflect the German Nazis' questions when it gets too much and he doesn't really want to give a good answer. So he takes that and he puts it on the far side. He puts the gun close to Abe, and then he puts his hands above his head and he's like, choose one.
You could, like, you're probably fast enough, you could probably grab it and kill me. But, you know, like, basically, if you shoot me, you know you're going to die. But you should also realize that you're going to die before the trains get here to save you. So which would you rather? Wait or die fighting?
Yeah.
And what else does he say? He talks about talents and how he's good at finding people's talents and how he's good at people managing, which is kind of funny when you think about him, like
his career later
on in his vampiric life,
which is basically the same thing.
This episode with the German Nazi vampire was focusing on all the different facets of his personality. The flashbacks where he's human, and you can kind of, in this weird way, see his humanity.
Yeah.
Like, like, I guess they're trying to be like, okay, he is an awful person. He's a monster. And not all monsters are monsters. People can be monsters too. But at the same time, he's human.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then you get to see the silly. Because he's silly.
He got to really be silly.
And, like, and you also got to see the scary. Because when he's with Jim, and he's leaning over Jim, and you finally hear his vampire voice, not the whole, like, fake happy German voice he's been doing. He's like, he's just like, I could eat you here. Just like, wow. But now we get to talk about the fun part. Our favorite part of the episode.
Which was?
The nanny. The nanny and the children.
Did we talk about the rat catcher and his father?
We didn't talk about the rat. Okay, we'll talk about that first. That was last episode.
Yeah. The rat catcher goes back to see his father, and that was a very interesting moment for him and his, just character development in general, because he's clearly, like, a very smart man. Like, you learn after talking to his father. Like, you could already see it, but now
he had a full-ride scholarship to a master's program for architecture.
At some university, and he turned it down. We don't know why, but he turned it down, and now he's a rat catcher, and that's created a huge rift with his father.
His family refuses to accept that this is what he does. They tell other people, oh, he's working at like, doing other things, because they're so embarrassed by his career choice.
But he still, like, goes back after, like, 2 years or whatever to warn his family, and his family's like,
no,
we're not leaving. Or at least his father is. I don't know.
I'm not leaving my house from the words of a stranger kind of deal.
Yeah. And what is it with people when your close family tells you, I'm scared, get the crap out?
It's because people are stupid.
But how hard is it to just be like, I'm taking a personal day from work for the next week. I'm gonna wait to see how this comes out. Like, it's not even, like, hard. Just, I'm going on a vacation. I will deal with this shit maybe when I get back. Maybe I won't come back, but I'm going on a vacation. People!
We also have our buddy Gus and his friend in the jail cell.
Oh, yeah.
And Gus is like, oh, you know, you gotta see what's going on the streets. Shit's going down on the streets. And the cop just like, this is New York City. Shit's always going down on the street. And then you see, like, continuing making yourself feel uncomfortable because Gus is sitting there with his changing friend's head on his lap, and I'm like, that guy's gonna eat you. You realize he's gonna eat you.
He's got a great shot at the vein in your leg, which is a very major vein that should not get severed, just by his head being in your lap. Like,
let's just slowly build up this tension and make us all uncomfortable.
Oh, he'll snap at just the right moment to freak you the hell out. I don't know.
So,
anyways, the
big reveal at the end.
This was done so well. I enjoyed the crap out of this sequence.
So basically, if you remember, the lawyer's nanny has taken the kids to her house. And at the very beginning of the episode, she has called the lawyer's husband, saying, your wife is sick, I have your children. And the lawyer's husband's like, bring them home in the morning.
He's not even listening to her. He's just like
bring them home. And so she's like, I'm not going to do it. And her daughter, her adult daughter, is like, no, you have to. You're not part of their family.
Like, this is, they'll charge you for kidnapping or whatever.
And so the next day, they go. And, like, clearly there's something wrong. And they walk in the house, and then he's like, no, kids, come back. And then the daughter starts screaming because there's, like, a body, the father's body on the floor. And it's like, oh, we got to get out of here. And then out comes the lawyer mom, who starts this chase sequence throughout the house, which is just so well done. Like, because her house is like all chrome and modern, and there are mirrors everywhere, and like Satrakan has mentioned earlier in the series that, you know, silver kind of they in the reflection they like vibrate because of a reason I don't remember, and so like you have all you don't know where people are coming from because of the mirrors, but you can kind of guess with the mom because you see the vibration. It's so well done.
So anyways, they, like smart people, do not run out of the house. They run into a glass room and barricade themselves in, which only lasts for about, like, 5 minutes.
Because mom and dad are smart now. They're starting to think they've tried breaking the glass. And then begin the best moment in this entire series.
Because they're just huddled there. They're behind the desk. And you know, any second now, a vampire's going to launch itself over this desk.
You know they're done for. Like, there is no way getting out of this.
And then all of a sudden you hear, pop, pop, pop.
And these silver spikes are shot in. And they kind of, like, creep around the corner and look.
And there's, like, 8 guys dressed in black.
You know, hood. You can't see their faces. And they're, like, buff. And they're terrifying. And, like, they got guns and shit.
You're just like,
whoa. At first I thought, oh, maybe this is the rat catcher, because you see you see the one guy shooting, and earlier on in the episode the rat catcher's been doing all this stuff, and he's like proved that he's fairly smart on the uptake, so it makes sense that he would be going around. But then you see this guy's face,
and he looks like rat-like. Vampire rat.
Very pale. He has 2 teeth, like just 2 teeth, and he's a vampire. He is clearly a vampire, and
But he's not nuts. He's kind of like the German Nazi vampire.
He's just like, okay, kids, you're safe, and I'm just like, I think
he's got that voice too. Like,
I was reading this article, and it's like he was described as being very folksy, and I'm just like, that's a good way to put it. And he's just like, okay, kids, come up for an inspection.
It's like he's talking out of the side of his mouth. That's what it is. Like,
he's like, were you scared? No.
Yeah, and he's saying all these things that are calming, like something like a paramedic would say to you. If, like, you know, you'd been through an ordeal, they're like, oh, you know, that was scary, wasn't it? But, you know, it's gonna be okay now. Let me just check you over to make sure.
Okay, you're okay. And moved on to the next kid. It's like, okay, we're gonna go. And then earlier on, the nanny's daughter got nicked. And so he kind of, like, takes a look, and they've passed, and he holds her back and then just, like, shoots her. Just bam, bam.
And, of course, the nanny screams.
And that's how the episode ends.
And you're just like,
what the hell did I just watch? Like, it's like all of a sudden the show changed. You know? Like somehow you flip the channel, and all of a sudden you're.
Because that is kind of like straight out of like those home invasion movies where, you know, the guys with the masks come in and tie up a family and terrorize. I don't know what the movie's called, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And that's exactly what it's like a scene out of. And so you're like, what is going on
And
here?
so we're like trying to figure out, who are these people? Like, what is this vampire thing? And they've kind of been talking about it. It's a lot more clear in the book, but it's not clear in the book. But they've mentioned, as we said earlier on, that if you kill the vampire, like, master dude, you take out their entire, like, line. And so it's kind of implied that there are other lines. So
yeah, maybe they're from over there. I don't know. But it's very strange, and it's very,
it was just
very
like this
intriguing.
weird, like, genre, like, tonal switch. It was a
Yeah.
completely different tonal switch because, like, he's just like, oh, it's okay, we're gonna be fine now.
He was comforting and creepy at the same time,
Yeah.
which is very hard to
I
do.
had to rewatch it. I had to rewatch that scene. When I was watching it and like they turned the corner and there were all the guys up. My first thought was like, oh, those are really cool costumes. What the shit? I had to pause it and just like.
Oh, okay.
And then like I was like staring at the guy's face and I'm like, is he gonna eat them? Like I couldn't figure. Like I thought that he was gonna eat them, and I'm like,
No.
you're not. You're like checking them. You're being nice to
Yeah.
children. Are you like a creepy vampire who like eats children? Paranoia to the extreme.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he's kind of comforting, but he's actually not comforting at the same time. So, I don't know. But it makes you really excited for the next episode, which I have not yet seen, but I will tonight, hopefully.
I have to say that this was probably the tightest episode so far. Like,
You enjoy every minute.
oh
of
yeah,
this
it was
episode.
really like, did the whole tension thing and all the different kinds of horror and all the characters actually learning things and the weird what the hell ending.
It was great.
It was awesome.
So,
I know what I want to be when I go to Fan Expo next year.
No. That's not what's happening.
No, not happening?
No. See you guys.
Bye!
Did they scare you?